Good morning. I was just doing some research and thought I'd share. This is about relationships and why they fail, or the percentage of different things that have to do with failing relationships. A more recent study indicated that the majority of couples, over 70%, don't get back together at all. Over 14%, 14 and a quarter, of couples reconciled only to split up again a year later, while the percentage of couples to get back together and stay together is around 15%. Just sharing things, that's all. Why do 90% of relationships fail? Communication. Yeah, that's why mine's failing. Then we move on to one of the most common problems, communication. According to many different sources, communication is the number one reason that couples break up and relationships fail. The most common reasons people break up and usually involves a lack of emotional intimacy, sexual incompatibility, differences in life goals, and poor communication and conflict resolution skills. There are no wrong or good reasons to break up. The most common reasons: I definitely lack emotional intimacy. I don't like being that close to people. It doesn't feel comfortable to me. It doesn't feel right. I've officially lived longer than my need for anything sexual. I have kids. I don't want any more. Two is enough. It's hard enough to raise two kids in this fucked up world. Sexual incompatibility. I'd say we have that in my life. She wants sex, I don't. That's not very compatible. Differences in life goals. I don't think she really has life goals. If she does, they're not anything that I know of. My life goals are always to keep trying, even if I fail. And I've failed 100,000 times with anything to do with these videos. But it's life. I keep trying. That's what you're supposed to do. Poor communication. Yeah, we don't communicate enough at all. Conflict resolution skills. Our conflict resolution is when we're mad and we don't want to talk about it anymore, we walk away and mumble under our breath so the other person can hear. Not a good thing. There are no wrong or good reasons to break up. Right. Now, if I go back, communication is, I've already mentioned that. You pretty much know how that's working here. The more recent, I, I don't see us making it much longer unless we can correct these, but neither one of us wants to talk when the other wants to talk, so that's a big barrier. When I'm in the mood to talk, she tends to wander off. Go ahead. So I don't know how else to go any further. And drama plays a big role in our fucking relationship that shouldn't be there. I don't know how much more I can share on this. I could tell you that when you're in a relationship and one person's lost the desire for sex of any kind. Oh, cool. One of my parts. And then they don't sleep in the same bed. They don't do anything together. That tends to run into a major problem that will just destroy your relationship. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. And if you can't communicate face to face in an orderly, civilized manner, it sure won't work. If you're too angry to talk and you can't walk away without mumbling, and you mumble loud enough so that the other person can hear you, and it's saying mean stuff, and I'm guilty of this, I'm not going to lie, then there's going to be a problem. But if you're both doing it at the same time, there's a really big problem. You either need to sit down together, keep your emotions out of it, and discuss things in a civilized manner, or else you're just going to keep doing the same thing, and one day it's going to be a blow up on one end or the other, and something's going to be said, or too many things are going to be said that may be partially true but not completely, and it's going to inflame the other person into anger, and then you're going to have a big battle, and it's just going to be like, fuck it, it's over. If you reach fuck it, it's over, there's generally no point in even trying again. Because most people do not have the ability to run their brain and their heart at the same time. It's just a fact. If you have lack of emotional intimacy, the two of you must realize what the problem is. Sometimes it's both parties. Sometimes it's medical. Sometimes it's sometimes you're just gonna, I don't even know where I was at. I had to pause that. You got to sit down with a proper mindset, leave the emotions behind, and move past it and talk about it and work it out. All right. Got lost in train of thought. And then when it comes down to sexual incompatibility, you probably aren't sexually incompatible. If you've spent years in bed together, you're probably emotionally incompatible. Some people are sexually incompatible, but you normally find that at the beginning of the relationship, and then it doesn't go on. Not years in. Differences in life goals. Like I said, I don't know what kind of life goals she has. It doesn't seem like she has any. She doesn't discuss them with me, but she sure runs me into the ground when I keep trying different things. She thinks she needs to have an understanding of everything in my head that I drive and strive for, or understand why I like doing certain things. Like I like making these videos. I like trying to do something with my time. I like sharing things I've learned, opinions that I have created. Whether they're right or wrong, they're my opinion. Everybody has them. And I like, just in general, working with electronics as long as they want to work right. So that, to me, doesn't make sense why somebody else thinks they have to understand why I like doing videos. Just do. It doesn't affect you. It isn't a part of your life. I do it without her, so she shouldn't have to understand it. My life goal is to just make something of myself, figure out something that I love to do and that I can do well, or at least I can learn how to do well in a fairly quick time. Poor communication. Ooh, that's a tough one. If you can't look at somebody in the face and tell them the problem you're having with them, your relationship will fail. Or you're going to have to learn how to communicate better and to resolve conflict. It's part of what most people are missing. You should be able to resolve conflict, arguments, or problems that you're having between you and somebody else without going into a screaming match and saying all sorts of false accusations or emotionally driven responses. If your emotions drive your responses when you're angry, you need to learn to change it. That is basically the gist of what I got to say in this video. Emotional intimacy can be hard. Some people have something that they've developed over a course of time, where they were born with or early learned on in childhood. that causes them to react or look differently at relationships, look differently at intimacy and emotional intimacy. And it's something that you'll never understand about somebody else who has a total different emotional set of values, or their emotional state is different than yours. You take somebody who was abused as a child, physically, mentally, whatever they want to call it these days, but especially physically. Two ways that that person generally comes out of that, to the best of my knowledge. I could be wrong. And if I am, you can correct me in the comments. But two ways you can come out of that. One, you come out like an abused animal. You know how when you find an animal that's been abused, it cowers, it runs from you. It just acts different than a normal cat that's never been abused, or a normal pet that's never been abused. That's how some people get. They cower at the very thought of fights and arguments. Um, well, sometimes they even cower before it could ever even become a fight or an argument. Somebody says something, or somebody has having a bad day and they get loud, then all of a sudden you cower and run to another area. That's the same way. Just the very idea that it could become a fight scares them that bad. Or they could come out of that situation of abuse strong, because somebody was there to help turn them away from being the type that cowers. Sometimes people come into somebody's life during their stage of being abused and they become strong-willed. That's because they're too strong to allow their past to screw them up that bad. That means that they just have something in them that makes them want to be stronger. All right, I just wanted to share all that because I know I've other avenues put stuff on as a video that talks about what I'm going through in my relationship. And I know I did it on here, but I took it down. I want to try to help those that are going through something similar to me that don't know certain things. I'm by no means a counselor or anything like that. I just know through my uh, life I'm learning things that might help others. So I hope you guys take away from this message something that'll help you now or in the future, or help you overcome something you've been through in the past, so that you could see that there's always something somebody on one side or the other of a relationship can do to make the relationship better, or can notice to make themselves better to help the relationship get better. And if it's the end of a relationship, it's not, I just want you to see that it's not always one person's fault. In fact, most of the time, it takes a series of dramatic events through that argument that causes the end to either start or come to. And you need to realize you're not always at fault, or you're never, or rarely ever, uh, the side that didn't do anything. Because your reaction alone could spark something after somebody's had that moment that caused you to think that the argument should start. If you react to their actions, you're just as much to blame for whatever comes of the entire argument. There is a rare occasion where it's just one-sided, that something happens that causes the relationship to go into this mode and then end. But it's very rare. Because once you start learning somebody that well and that much about them, you're going to know what's going to set them off, and then it's up to you to stop yourself before you let them get further, or don't take it further. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's anybody in particular. that I'm talking to. I just want everybody to understand what I'm trying to say. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave a comment below if there's something else that I missed.